Welcome to the channel and to this 1,500 point battle report between Orks and Space Marines. Change from the normal programming because today we're actually in a Games Workshop. Thank you to Matt from Games Workshop Swindon for allowing us to play on this beautiful painted terrain. It is Crusade. There are 4 objectives and no mysterious objectives in this. 2 back here, 1 on the landing pad and 1 on the parade ground, and 1 on the bridge and 1 at the gateway to the bridge. There is First Blood, Slay the Warlord, and Line Breaker. Each objective is worth 3 points each, and it is dawn. The sun is coming up. Also, the tide is out. All the sea that you see around the edge we can pass through, but it counts as difficult terrain, which is going to make some of the charge moves interesting. And as my opponent has bought a boatload of bikes, it's going to make moving through that quite tricky for him. We're playing lengthways. The Space Marines are defending this fortification. They're defending the primary island from the Ork horde, the Ork attack, and the Orks are going to be rampaging in on all their bikes, streaming across the bridge and trying to break open the Imperial defenses. Will the Space Marines be able to hold firm, or will they be overwhelmed and the Orks take the island and reign victorious? Let's go and have a look at these armies. Okay, this is 1,500 points of unbound Orks. The Warlord is a bellowing tyrant. That's a re-roll 12-inch morale bubble there. And he's on a bike with a power claw. This guy, bike, power claw, he's on the relic bike. Anyway, back to this. So we've got 5 knobs supported by a pain boy. There's a power claw in that squad, so that is one hell of a kill squad right there. Group of 3 bikes. This guy's got a power claw. Group of 3 bikes and the axe. That's a power claw. So nice and simple. And then we get to the other 2 big kill squads, 15 biker boys. That's a pain boy, and that's a knob power claw. And cut and paste over here, 15 guys, knob with power claws, and the pain boy somewhere. There's the pain boy. So we've got 2 massive feel no pain blobs here and here, kill squad, and a couple of little guys nibbling around the edges. That's one hell of a swarm that's going to be coming straight at the Imperial lines. And this is the army I'm bringing against them, and I'm beginning to think this isn't a very good idea. The first company are coming out en masse. We have Stern Guard, Terminators, and honoured, interred brothers. At least my Warlord has Feel No Pain for his Warlord trait, and I rolled on telepathy because I wanted Psychic Shriek. He's also got hallucination in his 4th stave, and he'll be coming out of a pod with 5 Stern Guard and a Heavy Flamer. The idea is they come crashing down, Psychic Shriek fails horribly, and I don't kill any Orks. Cut and paste on this side here. Heavy Flamer, 5 Stern Guard, and another Librarian. This guy's got Terrify though. Add Terrify to Psychic Shriek. If I manage to pull that combo off, it could hurt. 6 Terminators and a Heavy Flamer, 6 Hammonators, and there's claws on the Sergeant, 6 Hammonators, claws on the Sergeant, and 2 Dreads. This one's got a Heavy Flamer on an autocannons, this just got the Storm Bolter. Not much mobility, not much long range dagger to cut down on these Orks before they hit the lines. In fact, my only piece of long range dagger is the trusty Thunderfire cannon. Just a quick note, obviously my army is unbound as well. 2 unbound armies clash. So we're set up, and this is what the table looks like after deployment, and I am very, very scared. In case I didn't mention it, the tide is out, and so all this water counts as difficult terrain. And it is nighttime, so with the Ork knobs or bikers flatten out, they're going to have a 2+ chink in turn 1. There's lots of them. And the first company, I'm going for a refused flank deployment. The Thunderfire is going to have his work cut out. He's up there on the Sky Shield landing pad. Dreadnought 1, Dreadnought 2, and the Hammonators. I'm thinking that might delay a charge or 2 from over there for the 1st or 2nd turn. But Thomas, my opponent, kind of laughed at me, so I don't think it was going to work. We shall see. I'm keeping the standard Terminators in reserve to deep strike them in. I didn't know what to do with them, but having a unit that can drop in and affect the backfield, if there is such a thing as a backfield after the first turn, might be useful. But it's definitely going to be quick and brutal, and probably going to be over very, very quickly. Into turn 1 and it's a very different table all of a sudden. Just the green tide swarms across the beaches, swarms through the surf towards the poorly defended Imperial lines. These guys are dangerously close to that dreadnought, but going through that terrain is going to slow me down. That guy is about the closest towards any units here, and yeah, too many targets. Target priority for the Thunderfire cannon is going to be really tricky. Anyway, there's one drop pod coming in. Let's see what happens. End of the movement. Shooting. Psychic phase for the Space Marines. One pod came in here. That's not the Warlord. And Psychic shrieked this unit, and guys fired in all their bolt guns. Long story short, the Knob with a claw took 1 wound. It was terrible. I think they're going to turn around and kill them. Anyway, incredibly disappointing. Meanwhile, Thunderfire and the Dreadnought fired up and over into this squad here, and long story short, 2 boys are dead. And this Dreadnought, which backed off here, fired into this squad, and 1 boy is dead. So I've killed 3 Ork bikers and put a wound on a Knob, and that's it. And I'm cowering in the far corner, waiting for the inevitable charge. The only thing that's going to happen this turn, the only thing that might be successful, is this charge here. I'm going to try and charge the war boss on the bike. I'm going through terrain. That's a 5-inch charge, so I need 7, and I'm going to make it. We've got some Overwatch coming in, but maybe I might get some luck this turn. The redemption. The Terminators went wheeling in there. There was a challenge accepted. The claws are dead, and then they mashed that war boss. That is first blood, but I'm almost certain that Tom put him there so that these guys can counterpunch and come wheeling into those hammer Terminators, and they should in turn be dead next turn. We're moving on to turn 2 for the Orks. They're already swarming over the island, and there might not be very much left after this turn. End of the Ork movement phase and talk about overkill. Everyone on the bridge is turning around and is going to come smashing into this unit of Stern Guard, and the unit of 3 and the unit of 3, and there's a power claw in each. I think they're going to take on the drop pod, so yeah, the noose closes and everybody in the backfield will be dead soon. In the front field, yeah, these guys streaming across the parade ground. There's a 7-inch charge into those hammer Terminators over there, but they've definitely got control of the parade ground, and around here the noose is closing as well. Those 5 assault Terminators are surrounded and about to have a very, very bad day. End of the shooting phase. 1 assault Terminator here died, 1 assault Terminator here died, turning that into an 8-inch charge, and the heavy flamer and 1 of the Stern Guard there died. So they're going to get assaulted, they're going to get assaulted, and they're going to get assaulted. Time to hold my breath. End of turn 2 for the Orks. The war boss there challenged my librarian, went flying in there, and of course every single one of the Stern Guard are dead, and no wounds dealt out to the Ork Knobs in return. And meanwhile, this pod is just wrecked. So mission accomplished in the backfield. Both of the Space Marine units have been smashed, and that objective and the bridge is in control of Ork hands. Around here, these Orks failed the charge, giving these 1 more turn to breathe a sigh of relief. And over here, I didn't kill 1 Ork. They made all their feel no pains, but equally surprisingly, there's 3 assault Terminators surrounded there, still alive, swinging away with their hammers. I can't make that number of 2+ saves again. Neither can the Ork make that number of 5+ feel no pains again. That combat will break next turn. Anyway, let's move on to Space Marines turn 2. In the movement phase, the pod with my Warlord isn't in, but the Terminators are in. Hopefully a nice teardrop, heavy flamer shape. on these two units here. Might be able to whittle them down a little bit. And this Dreadnought's thinking about the counter-attack on this unit. These Terminators are thinking about the counter-attack on this unit. And the Dreadnought, the second one, just staying back for now. If I commit that Dreadnought, that'll be every single one of my units back here locked up into an assault, and I don't think that'll be a very good idea. Another really poor round of shooting and another really good round of cover saves or feel no pain saves. I dropped the Thunderfire cannon on this guy, and with jinking, well, he's got a 4+ save anyway, but with all the lookout sirs, only one knob died. And round the backfield, Heavy Flamer Stormbolters firing into this squad. The Heavy Flamer clipped and killed one in the second squad, and the rest of it did nothing. So essentially that turn, I've killed 2 Orks again. I can see it's going to be one of those games. Anyway, let's get some assaults on this Dreadnought and these Terminators. Gone from bad to worse. 4 Terminators died to Overwatch before this Hammernator went charging in there. He didn't take any wounds, and he managed to kill one of the bikers in return, but they broke heads and they stayed. Round here, the Dreadnought failed the charge, and the last 3 Hammer Terminators died before they managed to strike back. And so this swarm of bikers is ready to pile up the table, ignoring the Dreadnought next turn. Thunderfire is a choice target. Essentially in the backfield I've got a Terminator, 2 Dreadnoughts and a Thunderfire. And this unit on the bridge still has yet to declare its intentions. It's going to be over very, very quickly, and we're moving on to turn 3 for the Orks. As predicted, the Orks that were here are streaming forward and are going to gauge the Thunderfire cannon in the backfield. Everything's turned around again and is going to pick on the Terminators. Let's see if there's anything left at the end of the shooting and the assault phases. In the assault on the Fire Island, those Terminators have fallen. No casualties handed out to the boys in return. Over here, these guys failed the charge to the Thunderfire cannon and lost one of the boys due to Wall of Death. And in this assault, of course, the last Terminator has fallen. As we survey the battlefield, there are no Terminators left anywhere. There's one pod of First Company Stern Guard coming in, but the Orks control this island. They have the parade ground in the middle of the table, and they're very close to finishing off the last feeble amount of resistance that the Space Marines can bring against them. They hold this island as well. It's looking desperate for the Imperium. In the moon phase, the last pod came in. Psychic Shriek was denied, but Force is active. A nice teardrop shape on these Orks, and they're going to get picked on by the Dreadnought as well. And round here, this guy is actually trapped as Orks swing and swarm round him, Mad Max styling. There's only one way for him to go. So let's shoot something and charge down here. These guys in the backfield are going to be left this turn. It's time to take back the hill and do what damage I can. Finally, I had a decent shooting phase. This unit of boys and this unit of boys have lost 3 or 4 each, fleeing from their Hellfire rounds, from the Thunderfire cannon, from the Dreadnought fire that came into them. It's going to make this charge is going to be okay on that Dreadnought, but this one, he's way out of the fight now. So let's go into the assault and try and polish him off. Maybe the tide has turned. This unit charged the fleeing unit of bikes and destroyed them. They drove off as fast as they can into the surf, right, left, everywhere, and have been sucked down by the sands. I actually managed to kill a unit. The Dreadnoughts, the Venerable Brothers, have managed to punch back and hold the fort. Turn 4 for the Orks, and this is what it looks like. The unit of 3 are staying back to camp on that objective. These guys are fleeing backwards across the bridge while the war boss yells at them, asking them, demanding that they turn around. Flat out moves done, not very far. Staying cautious, worried about the Heavy Flamer in that squad up that end of the table. But that's it for the Orks. No shooting, no assaults, just some tactical repositioning in turn 4. Let's see what I can do in turn 4 before the inevitable punch happens in turn 5. So in this turn, the plan was quite simple. The Dreadnought which are here and here, took shots at the unit of 3 bikers, which are there. I'm trying to make that guy fail his morale and bust off the table along with this unit here. If both of those units leave the table, then it'll only be this horde of bikers here, and there might be a chance that I could scrape a victory out here if that unit regroups and the one behind the pod regroups. Then it's definitely all over. So the Thunderfire dropped down into this squad here, as well as the Stern Guard, as well as a Psychic Shriek. Long story short, the one guy at the front died, and this Orc here took a wound, and that was it. The Psychic phase for me has been appalling, every single phase. Anyway, we've got this very crucial leadership test to make. Let's see what happens. And he passes. Turn 5, the Orcs control the entrance to the bridge, and they're going to take a bit of shift in that thing there. Moved out and then moved flat out back again to get his 3+ cheeky, but them's the rules. And everything else is going to be focusing on killing my Warlord. If the game ends and I only control 1 objective and the Orcs control 2, then they'll definitely win. So these Stern Guard are going to be in trouble. Let's see how many, if any, are left after the shooting in the assault phase. This small unit of 2 boys didn't make it up there, but the War Boss's unit just drove straight over him, slaughtering everything in his path. And currently the Orcs control that objective, which is there, and the bridge, and this one back here. Somehow 2 Dreadnoughts and a Thunderfire cannon need to do something. Potentially I could try and make these 2 units flee, but I also still need to control some objectives myself. Let me go away and have a think about this, because right now the Orcs are in firm control. What can you do with 1 Thunderfire and 2 Dreadnoughts? Well, what you could do is pour everything you can into that guy and move the Dreadnought round to offset that objective. That way the Orcs would control this objective, I will control this objective, and assuming everything you pour into that guy does enough to kill him, that'd be 1 objective each. Sorry, these 2 will count each other out. The Orcs would have first blood, and I would have first blood, and the Orcs would have Slay the Warlord, and that would be a draw. Just pour everything into that jinking Orc to force a draw. Maybe. How do you win? Well, Dreadnought 1, Dreadnought 2 charges into this squad, and somehow he makes an 8-inch charge for a start, and that War Boss is toughness 6. Somehow, with 10 strength 10 attacks, they kill them, sweep them, and control that objective, while the Thunderfire fires down here. Maybe? I don't know. Either way, I'm figuring on the Thunderfire killing that one guy, so the Thunderfire has to fire there. Let's move the Dreadnoughts in and see how successful I am with that shooting attack. After a great deal of debate, the Dreadnoughts and the Thunderfire cannons opened up on these guys on the bridges. The guy by the pod is dead, and I managed to do 25% casualties on this squad here. So they've got a leadership 7 roll to make, and they're falling back. And this is where they end up, fleeing backwards away from the fortification. So currently, at the bottom of turn 5, the Orcs control 0 objectives because falling back units cannot score. And I am contesting this objective here. The Orcs control 0 and I control 1. Could it be an Imperial victory? I'm going to do this on camera as well. On a 1-2, it's the Imperials. And we're going on to turn 6. Turn 6, the Orcs are regrouping, and it's soon going to be all over for the Imperium. This group of bikes are going to assault that Dreadnought. The War Boss that's broken free is going to assault this Dreadnought. The group of bikers from over there are swooped around and are going flat out, and they're sat on objective 1. And these guys regrouped, move 3 inches, and are scoring this objective. Potentially, it's one hell of a big swing for the Orcs. Let's see if these Dreadnoughts are standing at the end of this assault phase. Things just went south for the Orcs. His War Boss died to Overwatch, such a wall of death. So many hits with the autocannon, and he died on his way in. That's Slay the Warlord. And around here, this Dreadnought is still alive. It didn't do any wounds back, but it's still alive with 1 hull point left. So at the bottom of turn 6 for the Orks, they control 2 objectives. The Imperium control 1, and this one is contested, but at the bottom of turn 6, the Orcs should definitely have that objective. Let's move on to turn 6 for the Imperium. End of turn 6 for the Imperium. We're going on to turn 7. The Orcs still control the bridge. Thunderfire cannon dropping down on here, and all the armor saves passed. And this Dreadnought tried to charge in to free up his brother, because if I managed to sweep them, if I managed to kill them, I would have controlled 2 objectives. The Orcs would have controlled 2 objectives, and with the secondary points as well, I could have potentially won that game. But he failed the charge. This Dreadnought managed to kill one of the knobs and didn't take any wounds left. He still got 1 hull point left. We're going on to turn 7. These 2 units here essentially have to stay there to try and control these objectives. You can't leave them, which means he's got 1 unit up the top end of the table in order to influence this game. What can the Orcs do? Let's go on to turn 7. The unit on the bridge are charging forward. There's a power claw in that squad, and the pain boy is attached from this squad here, so the Orcs are still controlling those 2 objectives. And we've got 2 assaults. Will the Dreadnoughts survive? In the assault phase, that Dreadnought is dead, and he took a big chunk out of that apple before he died, and the 2 that came wheeling into this Dreadnought ran into a power fist and have been driven into the earth. I've got 1 Dreadnought, 1 Thunderfire cannon left, and I control 1 objective. The Orcs control 3, and this is the very last turn of the game. Can I somehow win this game? This is the way the world ends. The Dreadnought charged in to the pain boy and the remaining knob unit next to the statue and slaughtered them, and controls that objective. The Thunderfire controls this objective, and the Orc knobs, the Orc bikers, control these 2 objectives on the bridge. So 2 objectives each, and the Orcs have Slay the Warlord, and I have Slay the Warlord and Linebreaker, so crazily as it sounds, it's an Imperial victory. 7 points to 6. Amazing. In turn 1, turn 2, when I saw this swarm of Orc boys coming through the surf, I thought it was all over. I thought that was it. But there was a crucial turn, I think it was turn 2 or turn 3, when the unit on the right flank and the unit on the left flank broke, fell morale, and fell back, which gave me enough chance, enough time to regroup, throw a couple of shots down the battlefield, throw a couple of shots at the Orcs, drop a couple of templates down from the Thunderfire, and retake the field of play. Yes, dropping the Stern Guard and the Terminators back down this end of the table didn't do much good for me, but they did pull his Warlords unit down and away and kept them from influencing the battlefield during that crucial turn. But look at that, 1 Dreadnought left, standing there, aiming down the corridor, firing flame and autocannon at the knobs as they try and make it across the bridge. And we hold the castle this day. We hold the fortress this day. This brother will be given a name. That was epic. I want to thank Thomas very much for playing me, and happy wargaming.